it's mostly dark and beautiful at the same time. That's what I love about Turkish poetry.
My guest on today's episode is French multi instrumentalist, music booker, sound tech arranger, and all around jack of all trades, Nick Pulpman. Active in the DIY rock and punk scene since 2009, Nick is based in Grenoble, France, but his musical endeavors have taken him abroad as he is very plugged into the Balkan music scene. Some of my favorite bands from Slovenia and Croatia were recommendations from Nick when he previously guested on episodes of Global Garage. Several of his previous bands include Tolard, Hold Station, and he also released a solo record, Shambles, in 2021. On today's episode, we'll talk about his opening track selection as well as some of the newer projects that he's working on. Let's make a mixtape. Nick, thank you so much for joining me here on Let's Make a Mixtape and helping us put together this first mixtape. The reason I asked you to be a part of this season, other than the fact that I enjoy chatting with you and having you as a guest on my various audio productions, is that I knew that you were going to pick something like this. Koonda Holaa, Moon Vomit from Apnea, released in 2015. Wild track. Why did you pick Moon Vomit?
Well, because I really felt, well, first of all, Ryan, thank you for inviting. And great to see you again. Yeah. And I picked this track first because this guy has a really interesting soundscapey universe and lots of different influences. And I feel like this track really showcases them, in a progressive way and interesting way of showcasing all those melodies and the layers and the very interesting and acidic lyrics and everything. I mean, it's all there, and it's a great introduction for an even greater album.
I was trying to do a little bit of research on Koonda Holaa before we started this recording, and I really couldn't find a ton of information or reliable information other than it seems like it's a one-man band, and he's been around in various different formats since the 80s.
That's right. He's been collaborating a lot. He was born in Czechoslovakia then in 69 and started, having some reprehensible political thoughts over there, playing in controversial art punk bands like this pretty famous experimental band from there, Už jsme doma. They toured all over Europe and I think in the US too in the 80s and 90s. And then he immigrated to the US, and over there he met members of the Residents, and he did a Czech tour with the Residents as well, and some people from the Stooges. So he became friends with Mike Watts, the sax player from the Stooges. What's his name? Steve McKay. Started collaborating, touring with them as well, and he's been all over the place. He bought property in the Mojave Desert, and was part of the original generator parties over there in that region. So yeah, he's been around for a long time, and now he's kind of settled in France. I mean, settled, but he keeps on touring all the time. So
yeah, as Brazzy, it looks like he's still like really keeping active and has a really kind of almost cult following, which is all. I mean that record, Apnea, is a wild ride, and I mean as an opening song should, it really does set the expectations for what's to come.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of texture in there. And then it's interesting to see him perform live now because he sometimes plays tours with bands. I mean, he recently did a US tour also with the former drummer for Jane's Addiction, I think. But then that's mostly in the US because he has, really reliable touring musicians over there and still a network of that. But when he's in Europe, he's mostly solo. And then what he's doing is layering a lot of guitar tracks, and that's almost as massive as the records, even though there's no like drums and stuff. But it's really hypnotic, and yeah, it's a ride.
That's wild. And he's playing at Tam Tam, right? The festival that you're also playing at.
The thing is, so I heard about him first in 2015 because my friend saw him in a festival in northern France. Now he's in France, living in France for a few years. And so we invited him to play at the release party for the first Cold Station record. So
Oh,
my
cool.
psychedelic band. He came
Yeah.
over and then we became friends. And he came back several times to play in my city here. And then he came and produced the Nick Pulpman record and did some vocals and stuff. So then we really started, yeah, working together properly and trying to make more plans. So I hooked him up with the people at Tantan because I felt like they would really understand his music actually and vibe with it because they're, you know, the Slavic continuum kind of substrate cultural something that they might relate together with. And so, yeah, he hasn't been in that region since 96. Actually, last time he was there is touring Bosnia with Ushmedoma in 96. So right at the end of the war there.
Oh, wow.
So it's changed a lot, I think. And yeah, he's excited to come with us, and I'm excited to make that connection happen. Sure.
That's awesome. I didn't realize that you had worked with him too. That's fantastic. And that was on Shambles.
Yeah. That's it. And the title track to the album is precisely the one I wrote, the last one I wrote before we recorded, and I already knew that I was gonna work with him, so I kind of tailored it to work with his production. You know, this track really had that in mind. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm happy about this record. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Any further plans for collaboration?
Well, as you might have known, these last few months or since COVID, basically, I got into Turkish music a lot, and I have this project that tries to kind of pay tribute to the production of old Turkish records from the 60s, 70s that have this really punkish, bluesy, you know, really gritty kind of feeling to them in the production and stuff. So I actually asked him recently if he'd be into producing an EP for this project, given it also this kind of, you know, gritty feeling. And so that's gonna be in the pipes for the next months. Yeah.
Ooh, that's really exciting. I love that sound, and I'm very curious to hear it in your hands. Anywhere people can look for it or get a taste of it?
I only have a few demos now that I use mainly for, you know, trying to find people to collaborate with.
Sure.
The intent of releasing something proper, but then there's a few YouTube videos, there's, you know, but it's not really launched yet. So I'm not spreading the word too much. It's gonna stay in the ground for a while.
All right. Well, we'll keep it locked down.
Sure.
So what all have you been listening to that brought up that inspiration?
Well, there's a very vivid rock scene in the 60s and 70s that is now being kind of unearthed by a lot of bands and paid tribute to. But there's also a lesser known side to it, like those songwriters like Neshet Ertash, I think is my favorite. He's was releasing, yeah, from the 60s to I think his death in 94 maybe or something like this, early 90s. He's got acoustic poetry of saz of this string instrument, but also his saz has double microphones, like electric guitar microphones on it. So it's also kind of really amplified, and production is, you know, early recording techniques and stuff. So dark poetry is really powerful. I'll send you some links. Yeah,
Oh yeah, that'd be great. I'll include some in the show notes
it's
too.
not too rock, but it's just got this punkish, bluesish kind of raw feeling to it that is really great. Yeah.
Oh, that I know the main sound, that kind of disco clubby, it's like Turkish psych that came out of that I think you're talking about, those bands that have like Altingun have all dug into, but this sounds is it a little bit different?
Well, Altingun is all covers, you know that, right?
Yeah.
So it's those songs they're paying tribute to,
Mhm.
and it's well, but this guy Nesha Tertash is less. It's not like club music, you know.
Yeah.
It's really like a folk, like a Bob Dylan of Turkey, if you will, like
Wow. Okay.
more like poetic and more, you know, introspective than all out dance. But it's got, you know, almost wedding like what qualities sometimes with the faster songs, a bit more rhythmic, a bit more danceable and trancing. I mean, there's a bit of everything, I guess.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that. I can't wait to again. Yeah, so I mean, I absolutely love diving into apnea, and I really want to check out some more of what he's done. It's a little bit harder to find But
Yeah,
I'm gonna do that dig.
there's not a much of it online. There's, a lot of vinyl records in
Yeah,
circulation, but now he's preparing a live album as well because when he tours in Europe, he basically lives out of his van, and
wild.
so
Yeah,
has a bedroom and a studio in there, and he can actually set up a platform in the back for live shows to perform there and record it straight into multi-track in the studio there. So he's preparing something in these settings.
that's wild. I love that. I love the idea of living in this van that's also your recording studio and tour transport. That's
Mostly, but also has a place with a wife and a daughter. So sometimes he gets back,
that's so cool. And yeah, so he lives like half of his time in the US and half in France, or he's mostly in France now.
Mostly in France, between France and Czech Republic. Actually, he has a house and family there and stuff, so they kind of go back and forth. He also plays more shows in the Czech Republic
Oh,
somehow,
okay.
but then when he goes back to the US, because he's married to an African American woman,
Okay.
and so she sometimes goes back with him to visit family and stuff, and he still tours there with his connections from there.
I saw that he did a US tour recently. I think it was mostly on the West Coast, but hopefully he comes to the
With
East Coast.
a drummer from Jane's Addiction and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
I'd love to see him live from the bit of research that I've done and chatting with you about
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. If I hear that he's going back, I'll let you know.
Yeah,
But
please
I guess
please
it's
give me a heads
mostly
up.
like maybe once a year usually, or when he can. But the last few years was obviously more difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know what it was that happened that, shut everything down, but it is wild though. It seeing in the last couple of years, well, more like the last year, some amazing tours have been coming.
In between the pandemic and the time we run out of gas completely, right?
Yeah, for real, for real. Yeah, how are things in France right now? I know there was
Well, there's been some social uproar, a little
yeah.
bit, contest for new labor laws that they're trying to pass and actually passed without a vote in the parliament,
Oh
thanks to a
wow.
loophole in the constitution. So that's making people angry for the lack of democracy. And now seeing that the far right is really rising a lot, people are calling to modify, like to edit the constitution so that Macron could potentially get re-elected for a third term. So, things are changing in the political landscape. He's
Yeah.
kind of turning into Putin or something. It's frightening. We're not there yet, but yeah, they're like dissolving green ecological collectives that are defending against building of massive, giga fucking water reserves. Sorry for swearing. I won't do that again.
No, that's fine. It's a podcast. We can swear all we want, which is great.
Yeah, so I mean, he's just, yeah, no one trusts him anymore. Everyone's against his laws, but he's gonna try and get reelected because he can.
Is that typical? Is 3 terms unheard of?
It's unconstitutional now. Yeah, we're at two maximum consecutive, but then he could also have someone from his party elected and become prime minister and then go back to president, like Putin did, actually. That's the Putin method. Yeah, so, it's kind of bleak. And if not him, there's always more racist and bigoted candidates. And private television now is showing more and more signs of extreme religious discourse.
Y'all got to stop taking cues from the United States. We're a bad influence.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of places, but I wasn't expecting France, and everyone's blindfolded because everyone's thinking, but no, it can't happen. We're like the country of human rights and liberty and whatever and democracy and yeah. So everyone's kind of blind to the idea, but I can really see it coming.
Yeah, that's tough. It feels like it's just everywhere around the world these days. It's just
Yeah, it's closing down, but we've got a bunch of music to listen to, so.
yeah, exactly. We'll just keep singing songs about the end of the world until either until it happens or until someone takes notice.
Oh, that's another song I gotta send you. Yeah, a Turkish folk one. This one actually. The title goes, "In the ruined garden, can the nightingale sing?" That's a pretty good metaphor for nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
Garden of Devastation and the poor nightingale in the middle. I like it. It's mostly dark and beautiful at the same time. That's what I love about Turkish poetry.
Oh man, I have a feeling once you send some links my way, I'm gonna go into a wormhole and basically just immerse myself in it for a week.
Yay.
So Tam Tam coming up, it's not a festival that I feel like is on a ton of people's radars, at least in the States.
Oh, in the States, not yet, but
I know you're very passionate about this festival, and I intend to make a trip out to attend it and absorb all of its glory. But tell us a little bit about Tam Tam and the. I mean, it sounds idyllic. I mean, it's on a beautiful island in Croatia.
that's it. I mean, the people over there that know it like to refer to it as the best small festival in the world, which I don't know if they've seen them all, but for me, from all the festivals I've attended, is clearly the one I had the most intense connection with
Sure.
somehow. And so, yeah, as you said, so south of Croatia, little paradise island, small fisherman's village. 500 tickets at most, I think.
Wow. Okay.
Until now, almost exclusively the best bands from the indie scene in the whole former Yugoslavia, so Croatia, Slovenia, Serbia. Now they're starting to get some more international bands, but basically it started 10 years ago as a friends party. Like one of the locals is organizing the festival and was just starting out inviting some friends, some groups, having just a week of wild camping and some bands playing just like that. And then the year after, they did it again and invited more people. And then it grew kind of like that organically.
Wow. Yeah, I saw Daikaiju is playing this year.
And so yeah, this year comes the connection with the US because Daikaiju are very good friends of my friends from Zagreb, whom they met on the show there. So and actually they just spent 2 days at my house as we now. They're on tour in Europe. They just left yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I love those dudes. And so they're gonna show up for the first time over there. Brian, the bass player, actually came 2 years ago, I think, to the festival already because he was traveling around. And now, yeah, this connection is gonna be made with Daikaiju, with Koonda, Holaa, with all those different people that I've met that I've really, had an imprint on different times of my life. Also, those Croatian people there. So yeah, this is gonna be a pretty intense for me, pretty intense one this year. And I'm also playing with the Nick Pulpman project this year. So
Oh, well, is this the first time you're playing Tam Tam?
on the official program, yes.
Okay.
I actually played bass keyboards with Sen, band from Zagreb once, and was invited last year by Noon Garden, the other project from the Flamingos guys. First time on the official program.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, sure, I'm excited.
Yeah. Are you involved with organizing it all, or you're just kind of setting up connections and
I'm kind of setting up connections with the program, of course. Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes, making small suggestions that end up getting on the final belt is really awesome for me because I love, that's what I'm about, right?
Yeah.
Connecting people. But then, yeah, sometimes I help out. I guess this year I will mostly enjoy being an artist and being able to just be there and chill and enjoy all of the rest of the amazing program that's gonna happen because it's not only shows, right?
Yeah.
This year they decided to have one first intro kind of opening day where Koonda is gonna perform, and then 2 days of the main stage, which is on a soccer pitch, 500 meters, bit out of the village. So a big main stage with video screens and stuff. That's gonna be the main part, and then shows in the camp every night for the rest of the week. So smaller shows, that's where we play on the day after the main stage.
Okay.
And then there's going to be all of the other workshops, free diving and screen printing and maybe tattoos and some folk singing and some archaeological kind of hikes.
Oh, wow.
It's a very old, inhabited since a long time, this island. So there's like Roman and Neolithic remains or something. So lots of things to do. If you don't even want to watch a show, you don't have to, right?
Yeah, and I love that it seems like the festival is really built on community first and has really embraced that. That's really exciting.
Yeah, it's a very warm environment. I mean, from the 4 times I've attended the festival, I've never had a single kind of bad interaction with anyone from there.
So, Tam, I need to make it happen.
Sure.
Hold me to it.
Please let me know if you do. It'd be great to have you there.
Well, thank you so much for joining. Anything else that anything you want to promote?
Well, I joined a new shoegaze band now. Oh, I'll send you a link as well. So the name is Pills for Tomorrow. We just recorded an album, the first album together as a 4-piece. Used to be a 2-piece. And yeah, there's a few live videos coming out now, and we're gonna start touring this year. So keep your ears peeled. But yeah, I'm trying to book a tour for a shoegaze band from Slovenia as well.
Oh, cool.
Haiku Garden, you might have heard of them. I think they're also playing downtown this year, actually.
Oh, cool.
So I'll get to meet them there.
Ah, that's
It's a pretty great band. They're considered the first shoegaze band from Slovenia, and they were produced by the guitar player from Laibach.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good music, sounding good. So hoping to make it work for next February.
Oh man, yeah, you're keeping busy.
Yeah, I'm trying to make the most of it, but I'm still poor as hell, so very busy. But not cutting it yet.
I love hearing new music from you, man. It's always great to see you.
Great.
Out there doing the damn thing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining. Always a pleasure to chat with you. And
yeah, thank you again, Ryan. Always a pleasure, likewise. So hope to see you soon.
Thanks to Nick once again for turning me on to a bunch of new music. Be sure to check out the show notes and transcript for links and videos of the bands and musicians, including Nick's various projects that we discussed today. Be sure to subscribe to the Season 1 playlist on Spotify or YouTube. And finally, to cap off the episode, I'm going to leave you with the opening track on Nick's album, Shambles, titled Dream Within a Dream.
The sky is green and the stars shine again. I'm running in the streets with a dead fish in my hand. I think I'm going mad, but I don't feel so bad. The street lamps dance in circles around me. The moving, jumping, running, flashing around. I think I'm going mad, but I don't feel so bad. I just let myself go with the stream. Sanity's a dream within a dream. It's a dream. It's a dream. Nothing but a dream.
If you like what you hear, please rate and review the podcast. It helps with discoverability and all that stuff. Follow the show on social at Let's Mixtape. Show notes and transcript can be found at letsmixtape.com. Tune in next week as I chat with Amy McCrease from the Greek band Godsleep.